Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today I want to share with you what is, for me, sort of a special moment. Hopefully this chair doesn't give away. And that has to do with this box you see behind me, White's Handmade Boots, Spokane, Washington, Authentic. It's the little things in life, right? Well, I've been kind of waiting for this for about 4 years because the last time I had a pair of boots, anything similar to this, was 4 years ago when the dog made a chew toy out of them. And boots like these are not cheap. They're worth the money, but they're not cheap. And so I haven't had a pair since then. I've been wearing other boots and getting by, you know, making do. There's other decent boots out there, but there's nothing quite like the solid handmade Pacific Northwest boot. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit today. We're going to pull these out of the box, brand new. Haven't even put them on. Well, I put one on, but I haven't even put the pair on. They're not even laced up yet. And so I'm excited about it. Now, the Pacific Northwest boot, if you're familiar with it, is most commonly recognized with like the smoke jumper boot, and they've got a heel on them, and the lug sole, the Vibram lug sole, and everything like that. And they're primarily, I mean, they call it a smoke jumper for a reason. They're primarily designed for backcountry type work, and then they become popular across a broad range of industries and trades and so forth, and you see a lot of guys wearing them in shops or out in the field welding, whatever, you know, all kinds of things. But they originated up there in the logging culture of the Pacific Northwest. Spokane, Washington is where these are made. So Washington, Idaho, Oregon, and there's multiple other brands out there too now. But as White's Boots claims, they're the original, right? They're the first ones that came out there since 1853, according to the box here. And the logging that was going on in the Pacific Northwest and still does to this day. And then of course the firefighting, the wildland firefighting. And these guys are a long-awaited treat. It is a treat, but then again, it's not just a treat. I spend many hours a week standing on concrete, you know, walking back and forth, and I'm not out in the wildland in this kind of thing. But the kind of work that I do, swinging a hammer, standing on concrete, having a supportive, very supportive boot is something I've always valued. And I've never been a fan of comfortable type footwear, like the injection molded soles on your typical hiking boots and your tennis shoes. I do not like those for standing, for working in. I've never found those to provide the support that you need on your foot, that I need on my foot when doing whatever kind of work I'm doing, whether it's blacksmithing or in the past and hopefully in the future cutting firewood, etc., etc. Just the smell of the new leather coming off of these things smells so good. This started, I actually ordered these, I think, over 6 weeks ago. And now, let me explain what I'm going to pull out of the box here, because the smoke jumper boot, the standard smoke jumper boot, has that heel on it. And if you've watched any other videos on YouTube here of different guys using them, maybe you have heard the background of the story behind that. And what those are for, they're designed for like logging and wildland firefighting. They're designed for use in the backcountry. And the heel on those boots provides an extra level of purchase on steep angles, on logs, and then also going uphill. So in the backcountry, you know, you're dealing primarily with, you know, a mountainside. That's in the Pacific Northwest, unless you're down in the valley or in certain parts where it's a little bit more rolling hills, most of it is pretty steep country, and it's going to have, you know, an overlay of pine needles or branches, twigs, all kind of different things that are pretty treacherous to navigate on foot if you're not careful, and that's the purpose behind that heel. And so I've actually heard, you see other things where they talk about the angle of your foot and your arch and that kind of stuff, which never made sense to me, because if you're standing barefoot on the ground, your foot is at a right angles to your leg, which is the natural position for it to be in. And so I've never understood or really bought into the idea that a boot with a heel, when you're standing on a flat surface like I am, is really the best thing to do. Now, some guys like it, and if that's what you like and it works for you, that's awesome. But I've owned a pair of smoke jumper whites boots in the past with the heel, and working in a shop, and it gave me back pain because it wasn't, for me, it wasn't natural, it didn't make sense. And so since I'm not out in the back country, climbing up and down mountainsides with a bunch of equipment, I don't need that heel. I need something that's going to allow my foot to stand in a natural position, but give that support that really I've only ever found in a white type boot. And like I said, there's others out there these days, and there have been for a long time in some cases, like Nick's and JK boots are the newer ones on the scene. They're all very similar. So I ordered these about 6 weeks ago, and what I actually ordered initially was the white millwright boot. And what I was wearing previously was a Hawthorne, which is sort of a knockoff of White's boots, Explorer. And both of those have the lower standard heel. Both of those have a lace-to-toe design. And the millwright boot had a steel toe, which I really wasn't a fan of that, but I could not find anything in that configuration. The lower heel, the lace-to-toe, and just the good solid construction. These boots are not the millwright boots. They're better. I got the millwright boots, and by the way, shout out to Old Trading Post. I ordered them from Old Trading Post. They're out of California, been in business there a while. They've actually got a lot of neat products, but one of the things they sell is quality boots. And I found a pair of White's millwright boots on there, and I ordered them. So I got them in the mail, and they were not what I was expecting, and they were not what I wanted. And they were about a $400 boot, which isn't, which is a decent chunk of change for me and for most of you guys. But I got them, and the leather was a little thinner than typical. Like this right here is 7/8 ounce, I believe, and that was more like 5 to 6 maybe on those other boots. And I got to looking at them, there was like a foot bed in there, I pulled them out, and I'm seeing cork, a layer of cork down in there. And looking at the construction, I put them on a little bit. They just did not have the same kind of arch support and just the solid construction of leather stacked and layering in the sole that a traditional typical White's boots or Nick's boots or whatever had. And I thought about it for a couple days and like, I can make it work, but if you know what you want and you know that it's not really going to be what you want, I've learned this, starting to learn this finally. Don't convince yourself that it's gonna work. And I have no obviously have no moral compunction to stick with that boot, and so I sent them back and told them it's just not what I was expecting and not what I was looking for. That's something that's kind of happened lately, is some of these high-end boot makers are offering like a mid-range model or something like that with really what I would consider sort of inferior construction and inferior materials. Now, you're not paying as much for them because the $400, that's kind of what you're going to get. And I kind of realized that if I wanted to get something that matched the high-end level, I'd have to spend closer to $5, $5.50. And so I was prepared to do that if necessary, and so I sent them back to Old Trading Post. But Old Trading Post got a hold of me, and I was like, well, let me, the fellow there, I can't remember his name, but he's real helpful, and he's like, let me get a hold of White's Boots, because I told him what I was looking for. He was like, yeah, I told him they're just not built the same way with the leather, you know, multiple layers of veg tan leather and that kind of thing, just the way they used to build them all the time, right? And so he said, let me get a hold of White's Boots and see if they can build you something like that. And so he did, and I sent the millwright boots back with kind of a description of what I was looking for and how those boots didn't quite match up. Now, I've been searching online all over for a boot that matched this description, and I could not find it. Now, I don't know if they just don't make them anymore, or don't make them very often, or if they're continually out of stock, but I couldn't find anything that matched what I was trying to find. So, Old Trading Post, they got a hold of White's and told them what I was looking for, and they made the boot that I was looking for off of my original order after I sent the millwright boots back, and this is what they sent me. It took about 6 weeks, which is kind of typical for a custom boot lead time. And this is what they sent back, and these are awesome. They have the Vibram lug sole. They don't have a steel toe, which I'm happy about. I don't need or want the steel toe. They have the heavy leather. They're beautiful, just a beautiful boot. They've got the lace to toe design, I love that. They've got the full gusset, so you're not gonna get any crud in there. And so I was like, wow, this is awesome. And I thought they made these just straight custom, but I was looking on the side of the box here, and it says Smoke Jumper LTT 10-inch. And I've looked at a bunch of different models online, apparently this is a low heel version of the Smoke Jumper. So apparently that's what that is. But anyway, I can't wait to put these on and get to work. Just smells so good. And this is the kind of boot that you love wearing when you're working in the shop all day, on your feet, on the concrete. And I mean, yeah, my job isn't super hazardous, but I am dealing with large, extremely hot billets of steel pretty often, and so having just a solid boot that's going to protect your feet is nice. But just look at that. This is a real treat. I've been waiting for this for a long time. So they send you a couple pair of laces here. They send you the leather laces, and then they send you these, and you can just take these and get rid of those, because those will destroy the eyelets on your boots and you'll have to get them replaced, and they will not last any better than the leather in my experience, and they will destroy the eyelets on your boots, and then the eyelets are going to start cutting whatever laces you put in there, and they will like last maybe a week. So I don't even know why they include those in there, but that's okay. We'll use those for I don't know, something else. Definitely not this. So they've got the kilty. I don't know, I can't remember what this is exactly called here. Before I do this though, actually I need to stop for a second before I get everything laced up. So these boots are fresh and wonderful from the boot maker. Anyway, looking down inside here, they don't have any of those silly orthopedic cushion pads that you get in some of these newer boots, and then the last ones that I had, they've got just the leather stack in there, and it feels hard, right? And it's supposed to, because that's veg tan leather stacked up. And what's going to happen is as I wear these, that leather is going to mold and form to the bottom of my foot and create a perfect cradle, basically, for my foot. And it's going to stay that shape instead of constantly being a squishy form, like a squishy pad that you find in so many so many different footwear today. I have never liked that. But let me grab my leather oil here. This is Obanof's, and this is actually made in Orofino, Idaho, and made by a fellow that was a wildland firefighter. And again, these boots are born and bred in backcountry wildland firefighting and logging, and the firefighting in particular, of course, creates a very harsh environment for leather and for boots. Obviously, the leather still holds up better than really anything you're gonna get. But this Obanof's is a step above any other leather preservative that you can get, and it really protects the boot. So I'm gonna apply this and get this on there. Whoops, got a problem here. Got lots of problems, but okay. So this has beeswax, and it's got some different compounds or propyls or what, I don't know. It's formulated to specifically protect against, I guess I got two daubers here, specifically protect against the caustic and harsh type environment that is created in wildfire conditions, where you're coming in after a fire's gone through and you've got the ash and all that kind of stuff. It just you know, dry a boot out, it'll eat the leather, all that kind of stuff. So that being the case, I want these things to last a long time, and while I don't have the same kind of, anything close to the same kind of harsh environment, really, I want to definitely protect my investment here. So yeah, I haven't even booted up yet today, so these will be the inaugural donning of the new blacksmithing boot. The other thing I do like about this whole thing is that prior to moving to Texas, I always wore some kind of lace-up boot, because, you know, if I wasn't in the shop, which I was most of the time, but you know, we heated with firewood the whole time we lived there until we moved to Texas. So I was, you know, cutting firewood every year for several months, off and on, you know, getting that taken care of, splitting wood. And then I really didn't get out in the woods just for recreation as much as I wish I would have. You know, it's always work and something that needs done, but you know, having a good pair of boots out there too, you know, hunting, etc. And so that's what I always wore. And then we moved down here, and my my last pair of boots got demolished. I didn't have the money to replace them, and so I ended up buying just a pair of work boots. And what everybody wears down here is the I guess you'd call them a slip-on. You know, they're pretty standard down here work boot, where you just pull them on, Justin work boot, or whatever the brand is, you know. And so I've worn those, and then I've also been making do over the last couple of years with a pair of Danners, and a Danner patrol boot or something like that, and they're all right, but they're just not the same. They do not have the same kind of leather stack construction at all. They've got more like a cushy footbed, and they're a lot lighter boot. not the same. And I like the, I got a pair of Justin work boots that you just pull on, you know, that are kind of a Western style, you know, and I like those all right. And they've been decent. But honestly, these boots right here, they make any other work boot out there feel like a slipper, quite frankly. In comparison, that's just the difference in the solid construction and support that it gives your foot. It's just unparalleled. An original design, traditional construction whites boot, or a comparable boot, because they're out there too. So yeah, on the whites boots, you know, they offer those, and I wasn't entirely aware that what I was ordering, the $400 millwright boot is kind of a lesser version of the style of boot, you know, which is not what I was expecting, but you know, I'm sure that's fine for some people and what they're doing. But yeah, I really appreciate Old Trading Post for helping me out on this and making sure I got what I was after. They took care of me on that, so I appreciate that for sure. And yeah, if you get a chance, oldtradingpost.com, I believe they've got, I didn't really look at all their stuff because I was looking for boots primarily, but they got a lot of like old traditional, like I think even Western, like holsters and a lot of cool different stuff actually. And then they're a dealer for whites boots and all that. Yeah, so another thing that kind of I appreciate about this whole thing too is that, especially this time of year, when we're middle of August now, you know, it's been so hot down here in Texas for so long, at least compared to what I was used to, you know, and this time of year is kind of hard, especially because I start thinking about back home, you know, in Idaho. Still consider it back home, you know, and this time of year up there, so it's been getting pretty hot up there for them, kind of freakishly hot actually, but it doesn't last, you know, it doesn't stay that hot for months at a time like it does down here. And this time of year, towards the end of August, you know, maybe in another couple weeks here, come out in the morning, it's going to be cool, cools off at night, most places in Idaho, especially up in the higher country for sure. It'll be crispy, you know, crisp, not crispy. It'll be chilly, crisp in the morning, and it'll heat up during the day. And you can kind of smell that tang in the air, you know, fall is, it's not here yet, but summer's about over. It's not long for this world, and you're gonna have that change in season where fall starts moving in, and you've got the trees changing, where you've got some deciduous trees, and you're moving into the new season, and it's just a pretty nice feeling, you know. And so having these boots, even though I'm not currently in that country, this is kind of a connection, I guess, back to that, which I always feel especially nostalgic for this time of year and in the fall. So it's an experience on a couple different levels, I guess. But these are the boots of my people, if you could say that. My granddad was a logger and a miner a little bit up there in North Idaho, and my great-granddad was a miner. My dad did some different work, different places and stuff, and used boots like these two. But it's kind of a connection to where I come from, literally, and also figuratively, I guess you could say. But these boots are made right up where I was, so kind of cool. Look at that. So it's gonna soak in, and we'll let it soak in, and then I don't know, maybe we'll go ahead and put just another little layer up on there, because I want to get these really treated, because once we start using them in the shop, well, I want to let them dry out here a little bit, and then once I start using them in the shop, they're going to start being prone to getting particulate, you know, and everything, dirt, dust, particulate, and stuff like that. And where that's really detrimental to the boot is down around the welt and any of the seams. And so I don't want to have a lot of you know, excess oil here that can attract and collect that and hold that stuff. So I'm going to treat these boots up here, and that's another nice thing about the oil, is that it soaks in, and once it soaks in, it's a lot more dry, if you will, than the cream leather preservative that White's actually sends with their boots. And because that stuff you wipe on and it soaks in, but it's not going to soak in as quickly and as completely, and so it's going to provide more of a magnet for particulate and stuff, and that's what we don't want. So I kind of want these boots to basically be dry when I start using them, but have that oil soaked in there. So that's the goal here. That's the goal. Got a couple applications on these, and then once it finishes kind of soaking in, see the lower part is pulling in more oil than the upper, and I believe that's because this has been stretched, you know, so essentially it's opening up the pores of the leather more than what you have here, which is just in its natural relaxed state. But this has been stretched over the last during the construction of the boot to make that shape, so it's gonna be more opened up, so to speak, to soak in that oil. So that's why I want to make sure that it's got plenty. And I think a couple of decent applications here are going to be adequate, because it's starting to puddle a little bit down on the welt here, and I want that to soak in. I don't want that to stay like that. Of course, these are completely rebuildable, and so once the sole wears out, and then whatever wears out down here, you know, they take this whole thing off here and they rebuild your boot. And I think it costs like half the price, you know, so definitely worth it. But I've never had a pair of rebuilt boots, because, well, the part that would have to be rebuilt was either destroyed, and then the last I did have that pair of white smoke jumpers. Those actually got chewed up too. but I could never get used to or like that higher heel on the original smoke jumper boot, and so I never actually wore those out. I wore them for a little while and they just did not work for me. And so and then prior I had another pair of Hawthorne boots that were similar to these, but anyway, these are the real deal. These are the real deal and closest. Like, I've had boots similar to this in the past, but this is going to be the actual deal, so I'm pretty excited. So let's get this thing, these things laced up here. Okay, you can get it. All right, this is it. The first ever. Yeah, it's gonna be wet. Gotta reach down in there and get that out. Oh yeah. All right. So this full gusset here. Got to start training that in the right direction, so it's not just a mess, you know. So folding it over. Hey, bud.
Yeah.
I know you got dropped something in the tank there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You just have to reach in and grab it. Then your arm will dry off. It'll be all right. All right, so I'm not gonna cinch these up too bad right now. We're just gonna get them on and start breaking them in here. Well, I can help you in a minute, bud. Yeah, I know. That is one thing about these boots, these types of boots, is that they do require some break-in. You know, they're not a tennis shoe, which is exactly why I like them. Now, they didn't quite give me enough lace on these to wrap around like I would typically do, but that's okay. So these are not super tight. I'll start getting them on there, and I mean, compared to, yeah, these things feel like a tank, you know, compared to most work boots. But just, I can already feel that footbed, just the arch support and the way that your foot feels in there, just supported like none other. You know what's great about this too is I can start forging with shorts on again. You can't forge with shorts on with your typical slip-on work boot, because stuff will go right down into your sock or into your foot inside there, and there's nothing to stop it. Okay. I'm talking to the camera. I'm talking to the guys on the channel.
Okay.
Yeah, you thought I was giving you a lecture? That's right, son. What was I saying? Yeah, but with these, lace these suckers up, I can wear shorts and not have to worry about injuring myself with a hot piece of steel or slag going down in my boot. So that's an added bonus.
Yeah, boot?
Yeah, boot.
Yeah, boot?
Yes, sir. All right. Oh man, I am happy. I'm a happy blacksmith right now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Are you gonna get that out now? Yeah. All right, there you go, bud.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Ah, this is awesome. This is awesome. All right, well, it may seem like a small thing, but I think it's true. Hold on, the camera looks crooked. I think it's true of anything in life, when you're working, having the best tools that you can, that you're able to have, just helps complete whatever task you're doing. So just like having a quality high-end knife or axe, you know, if you're using it, if you're, you know, there's a difference. If you're out, you know, field dressing an elk or something, there's a big difference between having a knife that's designed and constructed to work well, between a, you know, a knife that's just so-so. And that's kind of same kind of situation here with the boots. So I'm pretty happy. So thanks for coming along on this, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.